ain't searching, I remember. I was born with the answer. Through the fire, through the pressure, I emerge with the standard. I don't follow, I awaken. Ain't no man like I'm the root, I'm the branches. I'm the law and the language. Yeah.
And just like that, guys, we are back. Happy Juneteenth to everyone, and welcome back to another round of My Patriot Report Live. I am the bridge connecting the next generation of federal contractor. I am Ratwan Hill, and with me I have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ambassador of Peace. And if you don't know who he is by now, you might want to ask ChatGPT, Mr. Walter Cotton III. Mr. Cotton, how you doing this great Friday?
I am doing fantastic, man. It's Juneteenth, and since the Juneteenth holiday has only been a federal holiday, an official federal holiday since 2021, I want to let all the other brothers and sisters know the slaves are free. So you can take the day off if you'd like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I know we're going to dovetail a little bit later into actually redefining freedom and how we're doing it. But first, let's get down to the recircle this again. This shenanigans, this ongoing shenanigans. At one point, it was like, oh, they're about to sign agreement. And it was like, oh, they have an MOU signed. Now it's Where we at? Where we at? Why the Senate hasn't signed this resolution yet? Where we at?
I'll tell you where we're at right now. We are in a very precarious position, right? Mm-hmm. Because a gentleman who has proven to not make all of the best decisions that are in the interest of these United States has his hands on the control of our military. And our military is in harm's way over in the Middle East in a conflict that hasn't been explained to us. And so at this particular point, what we need our Congress to do, right? We need our senators to mirror the effort that our representatives have already put forth in putting a war powers resolution in place and requiring the executive branch to come to Congress and justify any additional actions. We are in a situation, in my humble opinion, as it relates to the Middle East, where we are upside down in this quagmire, right? And we do not want this to unfold into a melee. Our opportunity at this particular point is to insulate these United States. And we can start by quarantining that executive branch so that we can stop these crazy decisions that are being made. Like, for example, if it's not the decision that was made to attack Iran under those circumstances, and I debate that with anybody, that was a justified event. The actions that are coming behind it that are putting us in an economic hurt locker, like, for example, the efforts to cover the hard problems that are resulting from this shenanigans, like releasing our strategic oil reserves into the market, right, to help keep the price down. That is a asinine decision that in and of itself should be looked upon as treasonous, right? It should be looked upon as treasonous because our oil reserves are for America when things get tight. Right. And things are about to get really, really tight. And so why is our leadership making decisions to sell our strategic reserves into the market when leaders of other major nations are doing different things? Like, for example, China, they made the decision to reduce their imports of oil. That was their contribution to reducing or controlling the price, or should I say, taking a bit of the buffer off of the Strait of Hormuz. And they were able to do that because as a nation, they previously made a proactive decision to stock up on billions and billions of barrels of oil when the price of oil was at $40, right? So now that it's at, $110 or $80 or $90 a barrel, they're not importing. And so we've really got to call this administration into question, right? We got to call an administration into question that is going to take someone that's got no intelligence experience and put them at the head of our highest intelligence agency. Folks, we have a problem coming out of the executive branch, and it is imperative that we rein that problem in. And what we have found is we can't rely on our Congress to do that. We can't rely, and we've seen that, right? It took the House of Representatives almost a wrestling match, right, to get their version of the War Powers Resolution passed. And now it's in the Senate, right? And those senators who have been offended by the executive branch are now willing to do the right-minded thing, right? Because they're lame ducks, right? We need to hold the entire Senate group accountable for this action. We need to hold all of them accountable for allowing this to continue. And God forbid one more American life is sacrificed as a result of these shenanigans. And every elected official in these United States is going to have to pay a price for that. We've sacrificed 13 and over $100 billion and made our economy less safe. Let's stop this bullshit right here and right now.
You know what this reminds me of, and what kept popping up in my head was if the audience or anybody, if you guys haven't seen it, I would tell you look at the movie Idiocracy. If you look at that movie Idiocracy, that'll paint a picture of what it looks like is going on right now when people are getting promoted to places and they're inefficient to run that position, and you see how they run things. And yeah, I would just say just watch that movie. But to your point with the oil, I've seen on the on the news that our strategic reserves are pretty much at the bottom of the barrel. And if this conflict has picked back up again and they close the Strait of Hormuz is not opening up and we're running out of oil and we're at the bottom of our reserves, what does that mean for us?
It means we're in a hurt locker with everybody else in the world. And this is one of the things that, Americans need to understand, and that is what our actual position is in these ecosystems, right? Because, America is not an oil producing country. That's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, because a lot of people here, it's like, America is a net exporter of oil. America is not a oil producing country. There are companies within America that are oil producers, right? The Arabs are oil producing nation, and they have sovereign ownership of that oil, and they sell that oil into the market, and they use it to support their they use it to support their social way of life. We don't have that luxury, right? We have companies like Exxon, right, that own the oil rights. They mine the oil, right? We give them the authority to do that, and they are able to sell that on the open market to everybody, to include us. So our reserves, right, that we had in place were designed to protect the American economy in the event that some shenanigans happen, like some idiot caused the Strait of Hormuz to be closed and choke off 20% of the world's oil supply. And so once our reserves are gone, right, that we put in there at $40 a barrel, right? We put in there at the most opportune time. Now we are going to be at the mercy of the market with everybody else. I want leadership in our political offices. I want leadership in our agencies that have the strategic vision to guide us beyond those kinds of choke points. And right now, folks, we don't have that. And if you're not smelling what I'm cooking, right, this economic tsunami, it's coming your way, right? Those of you that are in the middle class that think you're safe because, you got a good job, right? It's just a hop, skip, and a jump between you and your friend at the barbecue who's talking about looking for a job, right? It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from that transition. And if we don't do something to stop this economic disruption that's happening right now, it's coming sooner than later. And I don't want to be one of those people that's like a fear mongerer, because that's not my objective. You know, I'm sending a message of hope out there. I'm sending a message of just in time. Let's take control of this before the melee. We have the power. But if we don't get out there and we don't take control of these reins, if we keep thinking that the next guy is going to do it, right? We keep thinking that, you know, we can wait this one out. We keep playing these partisan games. Patriotically, we're going to lose as a nation. Our constitutional republic is going to become under fire, justifiably so. And so I'm suggesting, you know, and that's right, I'm a little passionate about that, because, you know, this is my country. I'm sick and tired of watching these bullshit videos about how it's better to live in Vietnam because your dollar goes further. I'm sick of hearing these videos from these ex-patriots that gave up on the greatest nation in the world. What I'm saying is that this land is our land. These are our United States. We have the ability to make America safe again, and that should be our number one general order right now. We need to make this nation safe for everybody to live in again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I do want to reemphasize the fact that, guys, we are nonpartisan. This is not about no Democrat. This is not about Republican. This is about having common sense and knowing that what's going on is affecting everybody. So if you are Republican or Democrat in the lowercase, best believe you feeling it. Now, wherever you hold your allegiance to doesn't matter. It's the fact that you are feeling this, and this is just what it is in this administration. So we're just pointing out the fact that you have the power to do something, no matter who you are, who you vote for, or what your religion or anything. You have the power, the ability to control how things are happening for you in this United States.
And if you are deceived into thinking that I'm leaning one side or the other because I'm wearing a Obama hat, I'm only wearing this hat out of pure respect and pride for that brother opening his presidential center yesterday, right? Yeah. That is a point of pride on Juneteenth for me, a person that wears my social uniform, to be able to praise the fact that someone who looks like me, right, rose to the highest office in this land and discharged that office so wonderfully that he still is the darling of presidents, right? He's still the highest rated presidents of all the presidents in history. So I'm giving that brother his props for opening his presidential center. And I'm celebrating the fact that the African American Museum there in Washington, D.C. is these are the kinds of things that you're supposed to celebrate on Juneteenth. If this was St. Patrick's Day, I'd have a green hat on and a Shamrock beer in my hand. So don't get it twisted. We are purely patriotic.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And that dovetails into our next segment that I wanted to talk about. And that was this bill of, is it the Take Care of American Veterans Act? Take Care of America's Veterans Act. Now, we're praised enough of getting this bill together, consolidating 60 bills to include bills that they were looking to get passed years and years ago. But when you look at this bill, I feel as if this is missing a significant part to empowering veterans, and that's the entrepreneurial, the entrepreneur. Like, you have the Contract Our Veterans Act, the Veteran Member Business Loan Act, two important bills that help build the foundation of economics for veteran entrepreneurs, but this language wasn't included in this bill of over 60 bills consolidated. Now, what are we looking at exactly? Is this just a political carrot on the stick?
I don't believe that it's a political carrot on the stick. And I'm not going to default to the idea that Congress is tone deaf. What you're seeing in a bill that purports to provide a $21 billion infusion, right, into the lives of him and her who bore the battle, that's a serious indicator of a body politic, a congressional group that's trying to do the right thing by the veterans. Unfortunately, our system of communicating with our Congress isn't such that we're able to give them the information in a timely fashion to help them make a decision. And so when they got together in their silo and said, what kind of great things can we do for veterans? They didn't have enough veterans at the table. They didn't have enough veteran service organizations at the table to say, hey, you need to maybe look at this entrepreneurial needs of the veterans and add it in there. And so since the bill is just in its sponsorship position, right, it's available for vote and consideration on the floor, we, the people, have the opportunity to reach into the process and get the attention of our congressional leaders and have them add components to that bill that are more favorable to our interest. And so since we've got a need to communicate with them on this war powers resolution issue, right, we need a briefing with them at this particular point to say, listen, let's first rein this shit show in the Middle East in, right? Let's first get ourselves in a position where we're assured not to lose any more life. And then, let's talk about how we can collaborate, right? How we, the people, can collaborate with you, the elected officials, to create a strategy that first insulates this country, insulates our economy from the shenanigans that are about to ensue, and then puts us on a strategic trajectory to make America safe again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think that actually is a good segue into, what I really am excited to talk about. And that's the, what we're pushing, the reunification, and that's why I titled this the remedy to separation, inspiration I got from Nipsey Hussle song, who was all about empowering the community and bringing it back into the community where we come from, and on that note, we took the Powernomics framework blueprint and said, this is the foundation to how we do that, how we cure that separation that we have. And I started doing deeper research on things like Rosewood, like what was the town called in Georgia that Lake Lanier is now over. And then I started seeing patterns, right? They started building their economics, and once they built their economics, it got attractive. And then they say jealousy. It created something where people felt the need to attack, but those communities weren't protected because they didn't have their political parties intact. They didn't have, so therefore they were vulnerable. So I say all that to say, it seems what we're driving, I believe, is the cure to that with our understanding, because that fills that gap. Like, if you got economics, of course, is the foundational aspect that you need. We need the money, right? Black Wall Street. But if we don't have political levers in place where we can then go reach up to justice and education and train our community on how the political process work, how to actually think, how to work as a collective, then we're just pretty much repeating a cycle of insanity. But I did want to just have that conversation about, what does reunification mean? Let's just start with the foundation.
Well, Mr. Hill, I have to openly share with you the fact that your excitement, your unbridled enthusiasm about the art of the possible motivates an old man like me, right, who's seen, more than his share of civil rights battles. And so I just want to thank you for that breath of fresh air that you deliver into my life with your can-do attitude. But before we start unpacking this thing, I think that we need to help the audience understand what it is you're so excited about by, explaining what regentrification actually is. And so if you could, can you take a stab at a very high level of explaining, what the counter to gentrification, this regentrification model that you're talking about, what is it supposed to be? What's it supposed to do?
Absolutely. So you guys know, or if you don't know, when you hear the terminology gentrification or gentrifying, that's when they rebuild, they tear down and rebuild new homes and new communities all in your community. But it forces.
Can I give the front end of that, a little bit more color, if you will, because I think that it's important to understand that systematically underserved communities, the communities that you and I and people who wear our social costume grew up in, are systematically economically disenfranchised.
Yeah.
Right. They're food deserts. They don't have shopping centers in them. And what happens over time because of that systematic disenfranchising is the property values in those areas diminish. And as those property values diminish, those properties become more attractive to people from outside. And so that's what the strategy or model of gentrification usually is, right? You've got other than existing residents, in most instances, minority residents that are displaced out of an area because the properties in those areas become of such value that other communities come in and buy them. So that's gentrification, right? And what traditionally supplements that is the fact that even those residents of means, the professionals in those areas, as soon as they get upwardly mobile opportunities, they move outside of those communities into other areas. And so at a strategic level, the concept of regentrification that you're talking about is when those professionals that have been displaced out of those urban centers recognize that there is a investment value in those communities, and they go back and they reinvest in either residential or business assets in those communities. And so what you're promoting is a strategy that allows for people of color to go and repurchase their communities.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then it's like how the next question probably is how we do that exactly. And then that's where you look at things like opportunity zone, hub zone, right? We understand they dismantle DEI. We get that. We get that. But that doesn't mean somebody had told me a while ago that we've always done more with less. And those words had stuck with me when it said we always done more or less. It is not that the fact that we have less, it's just that we need to change our paradigm and thinking and realize that we always had these other mechanisms. We haven't been thinking from a collaborative standpoint. We haven't been thinking that we could work with other people in our community. And what I mean that is you could partner with a service disabled veteran-owned small business, right? And you're not DEI then because that's merit. You could work with a service disabled veteran-owned small business who has to go to ticket in this federal contracting landscape, right? And with that partnership, that gives you a golden ticket to go and capture a federal contract, right? We know that just because you have that socioeconomic status, that's not all you need, but that's the first stepping stone to getting you into the door. It's of course other things that you need, like you need a partner that you could work with that can help you grow. But what we're saying is the fact that you can partner with a service disabled veteran-owned small business, capture federal contracts, and you could domicile that federal contract into that opportunity zone, or for a layman term, you could domicile that contract into your community and your neighborhood And you could essentially create more job opportunities. You could get manufacturing plants. Why? Because the government is looking to reshore our industrial base in America. They got the Defense Production Act that's giving you investment money to build manufacturing plants in your community. You could use that money and build your manufacturing plant in your community, bring new job opportunities to people in your community. And then also, because of the opportunity zone, it's not just for businesses, for real estate. Now you could you could rebuild homes. And instead of, getting pushed out of your community, you are building a community that brings more people, more business professionals that look like you into that community. Because, I know for me, if I worked hard to get out of there, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back to the same type of hood. That's the reason why I got out of there. But if we could revitalize it, change the mindset of everybody, and everybody working together, then now we're building a thriving community that could be the Black Wall Street again. You know what I mean? But I say all that to say that we need to change our mindset, because the opportunity is now, and they have everything in place for us and mechanisms. We don't have to ask for anything. We just got to change our paradigm, open our mindset, and work from a collaborative standpoint, and really build community and culture.
Mr. Hill, you speak like one who has the budget and capability of a developer, right? Traditionally, individuals that have the kind of bank that then Elon Musk has speaks with the kind of confidence that you speak with, right? And you're speaking with the kind of confidence that says, I could go in and become a jobs creating agent in these communities, because I can bring a 10 million, or I can bring $100 million manufacturing asset, and I can place it in those communities, which is going to create jobs. Is that a model that you are delivering? I mean, are you able to be a jobs creating agent in these communities?
Yeah, I would like to think so. Just to be fully transparent, we said it on other episodes, but having a multi-$100 million partner on our team, having two multi-billion-dollar partners on our team, I'm compelled to believe that we have a strong enough team that has a like interest to want to, increase their revenue and create these assets. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So I don't see why not. And also because I understand that we have Black athletes, because we have Black celebrities, we have all these people that got money. I know you invested in Bitcoin, and you have, it kind of dropped down, but a lot of people who invested money, like people like Kevin Durant, who invested in, I believe he invested in SpaceX. I know he invested in Coinbase and all these, and had tremendous return on his investment. Now, that money he takes out is going to have a tax attached to it. But instead of, taking that tax hit, he can reinvest that in a community like the Opportunity Zone with manufacturing, that for the federal government, where federal government has money that they have to spend or they lose it. It's I don't want to say a guaranteed investment, because everybody knows all investment has risk. You should consult with your
Can I
advisor.
stop you for a second, Mr. Hill, because I'm looking at the time and we're running into like about a minute left. But you clearly have a mature vision of this new Black Wall Street, or this new Rosewood regentrification model that you're driving. And I think it would be only fair for you to unpack that for the audience, so that people can see without all of the enthusiasm what you're cooking, right? Because it's important for them to be able to, I think, follow the end-to-end journey that you're laying out, because what you're saying is you have a solution that empowers people that look like you with the ability to become jobs creating agent in the communities that they came from, and you want to show them that know-how. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That truly what freedom is.
So let's take some time during the next podcast on Monday, and let's unpack that for the audience that has ears to hear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And guys, on that note, happy Juneteenth. I am Ratwan Hill, and that is the Mr. Walter Cotton III. And guys, have a great weekend. We're out.
When I walk in, every ancestor move. Every cell in my body got an ancient groove. I ain't searching for truth, I embody the proof. You look at me, you see the lineage. Every obstacle shift when I rise in them.